So without further ado, and I think you will all appreciate, let me introduce what in Georgia, and one of his most impressive credentials at the moment, needless to say, introduce Michelle's father.
Thank you very much, Raphael. On that latter subject, this is not a political seminar today, so don't start running for the exits. But I have, those of you who've been my friends for a long time recognize that part of the mark of my 24 years, well, 30 years almost in politics is that I never got involved in anybody else's race. I always sort of minded my own business, so forth. But our daughter is running for the Senate this year. I think she inherited the disease from me, so I have to be tolerant of it. But I told her the other day that in spite of my caution in the political arena, that if she was 5 points ahead going into October, I would think seriously about endorsing her. So we'll see what develops on that vein. This is an exciting day. It's an exciting time in terms of energy in America, an exciting time for the Southeast and for Georgia, and we're going to talk about all of that. I know Joe has already thanked a number of people, but let me just add a few to the list and repeat some of the ones he's thanked, because putting together a program like this takes an awful lot of work and a lot of people, and we welcome each and every one of you here today. It's not going to be a long haul. It's going to go until about 1 o'clock, so I hope that as many of you as possible will be here for the entire program. We have excellent panels, and of course, I'm going to introduce an excellent keynote speaker who's going to kick us off. We have an outstanding team of Georgia Tech leaders who worked on this forum. Provost Raphael Bras just was here at the podium, and Raphael, we thank you for all of your support, and we thank you also for President Peterson and all he has done. We also have Joe Bankoff, my old law partner, who is now the chair of the international school here, the Nunn School at Georgia Tech. And Joe, we're very grateful to you and for your staff. I know that Mary Lou and Wanda do all the work, and I particularly want to thank them. You'll see them around today, and they both are superb. Tim Lewin, who is the Executive Director of the Strategic Energy Initiative and Secretary of Energy. Moniz got briefed on that this morning. So Tim, we thank you, and Steve Cross, Executive Vice President of Research, Bob McGrath, Director of the Georgia Tech Research Institute, which is such an important part of the Georgia Tech and such an important part of our nation's basic inventory of talent and inventory of tremendous scientific and technical expertise. So we're very proud of that institute. Adam Stolberg. Adam, hold up your hand, because Adam, more than anyone else, has been putting together this forum with all of its pieces. Adam is an outstanding faculty member at the Nunn School and also responsible for this forum. And Valerie McPhail. Valerie, hold up your hand. Where are you? You're somewhere there. Who is my chief of staff and does a terrific job on this and many other things that I undertake. Most of all, I want to thank the people in the audience today who are spending your time on this subject, because it is enormously important. It has tremendous economic and social effects both in the country and really indeed around the world. My particular thanks to the Bank of America. I don't know whether Jerry Thomas is here this morning or not, but she'll be here later on during the day. But Jerry has been with the Bank of America for 42 years, and they have been sponsoring this conference since I left the United States Senate, so we're very grateful to the Bank of America. Our forum today will take a close look into the big picture of the changing global natural gas landscape, and we hope to focus on new opportunities and, of course, always new challenges for Georgia, for the Southeast, and for certainly Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech brings vast skills and talents to the energy table, including a deep knowledge of key energy technologies, a keen understanding of national security and international aspects of energy. Georgia Tech does a huge amount of work for the Department of Defense, and so there are a number of folks on campus who are very involved in the defense arena as well as the energy arena. A trusted supplier of technology and talent to the energy industry, and outstanding leadership here at Georgia Tech in renewals, particularly emphasis on solar, as well as great expertise on the smart grid and what also is known as the resilient grid, as well as low emissions combustion and advanced separation, and I could go on in terms of Tech's contribution. My principal job and great honor this morning is to introduce our guest speaker, U.S. Secretary of Energy, Ernie Moniz, who will keynote our program. And I'm very, very honored that we have Ernie with us. Let me first pose just a few of the broad questions that I hope we will address in the forum today. How does the explosion of U.S. gas supply and the revolution in fracking in the United States affect our economic competitiveness, our global security, and our ability to meet environmental challenges? How does the energy revolution, if I can call it that, affect the Southeast region and the state of Georgia in terms of our economy and our ability to compete and to offer good jobs for our citizens? These are the broad questions, but there are many other questions that our keynote speaker and our panels will no doubt address. I'm particularly interested in hearing from our Georgia Tech panelists about the role that Tech is already playing in the energy field and the role that Tech envisions in the future. In addition, I think our audience will be asking our experts a number of other questions, including can shale technology and unconventionals be readily developed in other parts of the world? Is our advantage in the United States with our great differential in gas prices a temporary advantage, medium-term or short-term or long-term advantage? What are the foreign policy and security policy implications of the changing natural gas landscape? We're fortunate to have here with us on the panel today the ambassador from Azerbaijan, a very key country in terms of the resources, and we will be hearing from him about his perspective, resource development in his part of the world, as well as how the resource development here affects that part of the world. Will shifts in global supply and demand of oil and gas create new opportunities for cooperation, or will we see new conflicts and dangers arise? Is the Russia-Ukrainian security, political, and energy confrontation now an aberration, or is this a sign of things to come with energy being used as a weapon? What are the challenges and opportunities of the intersection of information technology? I know we have people in the audience like Tom Noonan back there who are real experts in energy, not only energy, but in information technology, and our experts here at Georgia Tech are looking very carefully and working hard in the area of where energy, the new energy landscape, intersects with information technology, a very important subject that I hope we will hear about today, and I believe we will. What promising developments are underway at Georgia Tech and across the region that can facilitate new business models, cross-sector partnerships, and sustainability with what some people have called the dash to gas? What is the potential for the Georgia economy from these developments, and how does Georgia Tech play a role in that? So these are the questions I have, and these are the opportunities I think we have to probe pretty deeply today in the next 4 or 5 hours on these enormously important subjects. With this as a background, it's my great honor to introduce my friend Ernie Moniz, the U.S. Secretary of Energy. In his current position, our honored guest is charged by President Obama with three straightforward but far from simple tasks. Number one, help grow our economy through the energy field and through other responsibilities under the Department of Energy. Number two, enhance our security. Of course, the nuclear component of energy and also the nuclear component of our deterrence is housed largely in the Department of Energy. Number three, protect the environment. No one has ever had a better background for these responsibilities. We've never had a Secretary of Energy with this kind of background and expertise that Ernie brings to the table. Let me recall very briefly, in a much condensed form, Ernie's history and his expertise. He has been a professor of physics and engineering systems since 1973 at MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, chairman of the Department of Physics as well as the Bates Linear Accelerator Center. 8 years ago, Ernie founded and chaired the MIT Energy Initiative, an academic business partnership focused on technical and policy analysis of current energy trajectories and development in energy and environment. I've been with Ernie a lot in this arena because I was honored to be requested by Susan Hackfield, the president of MIT, and George Schultz to be a part of the advisory committee to this exciting MIT Energy Commission. In guiding and coordinating this group, Ernie led a coalition of MIT's best thinkers in multidisciplinary, in-depth policy studies on the future of nuclear power, the future of coal, the future of wind energy, the future of solar energy, and the subject of today's forum, the U.S. revolution in natural gas. So Ernie is not choose one energy pool. He's looked at the whole array of energies and possibilities, and he will talk about that. This MIT project led by Ernie is a prime example of putting deep and broad technology analysis into a policy framework. Our nation is very fortunate to have a Secretary of Energy who brings this in-depth knowledge to the job. And Ernie's tenure as Secretary of Energy, in my view, presents a unique opportunity for our nation's energy future. Enough to say about Ernie, except that on the technical side, Ernie has a doctorate in theoretical physics, but he also has vast experience in working directly with the business community as well as the policy side, having served as Undersecretary of the Department of Energy from 1997 through 2001. So Ernie is one of those rare people who combines theory, policy, and tremendous amount of practical experience. Ernie's rare combination of talents and experience reminds me of the story about Sherlock Holmes and his faithful friend Watson. I stole this story from Alan Simpson, and stealing Simpson jokes is always dangerous because he's funny no matter what he says. But I think I will at least attribute this one to him. Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson went on a camping trip. After a good meal and a bottle of wine, they lay down for the night and they went to sleep. Some hours later, Holmes awoke and nudged his faithful friend with these words, "Watson, look up at the sky and tell me what you see." Watson thought for a moment, then he replied, "I see millions and millions of stars." "What does that tell you, Watson?" said Holmes. Watson pondered for a minute and replied with these words, "Astronomically, it tells me that there are millions of galaxies and potentially billions of planets. Astrologically, I observe that Saturn is in Leo. Horologically, I deduce that the time is approximately 3:15. Theologically, I can see that God is all-powerful and that we are small and insignificant. Meteorologically, I suspect that we will have a beautiful day tomorrow. What does it tell you, Holmes?" Sherlock Holmes was silent for a minute, then he spoke. "Watson, you idiot, someone has stolen our tent." Ladies and gentlemen, we are fortunate to have, and I'm honored to present to this audience, a leader who combines Watson's theoretical genius with Sherlock's common sense, brilliant analysis. Our Secretary of Energy, Ernie Moniz. Ernie.